Yo, what's happening? What's going on? What's good, everybody? That's right. Boxing Source checking in here. This is the April 16th, 2023 edition of the Boxing Source radio show. Man, we got a lot to talk about here. Of course, we are 6 days away from the big event at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. You got Garante Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, King Ryan, and this is going to be a big bout, here coming up. Of course, you have the bout, scheduled to take place, main event, their pay per view, Showtime pay per view. And, I'm really, really looking forward to this event, man. Looking forward to this event. Definitely, got a lot that's going to, be on the line in this particular matchup. You know what I mean? So we got, Tank Davis. Of course, they're undefeated, multi division world champ. And, we have Ryan Garcia, of course, undefeated, has been, looking for this fight for, a couple of years. He, really was pursuing or saying that he is pursuing this bout. Uh, and you've had, of course, all the stuff that's been going on, the history between the two fighters over the years. I mean, it's not, just about what's happened from, a couple of years ago. This kind of like goes back a few years between these two. So you have, like I said, Tank Davis there, 28-0. Ryan Garcia, 23-0. And we have like a tail of the tape of sorts coming. I mean, you got Tank Davis, one of the more talented fighters in the sport of boxing. Got him within the bottom five of the top 10 pound for pound fighters in the Boxing Source pound for pound list. They're of course coming in listed at 5 foot 5.5 with a reach of 67 inches. Well, the arm reach at 67.5 inches. Ryan Garcia, of course, is there at 5'10 with a reach of 70. And this is something where we're going to see Ryan Garcia in his first little bout here of this magnitude. Of course, people talk about it. They bring up the whole thing in reference to, his fights against, Javier Fortuna, against Luke Campbell and that type of thing. But it's a whole different story when you're going up against someone like Avante Tank Davis, who has been having these big events, for some time, man. Had his, last bout against Hector Luis Garcia a few months ago. It's been what was that, January 7th. And then before that, he had bouts against Mario Barrios, against Isaac Cruz Gonzalez, against Leo Santa Cruz, against Yuriorkis Gamboa, and been to multiple events there involving Tank Davis. The Rolly Romero fight, also last year, that was a big one over in Brooklyn. So he's had a number of fights that have been high profile events that, a lot of people have been able to see there live. And, a lot of people have been watching on pay per view, these events on pay per view. So this definitely is not the first rodeo there for Gervonta Tank Davis, but for Ryan Garcia, this is, his first pay per view event. It's on Showtime pay per view. It's also, going to be shown on the Zone pay per view as well. But, this is something where Ryan Garcia is, stepping up to the plate to face someone like Tank Davis. Of course, he has his trainer there, Joe Goosen. This is pretty much his third fight with Joe Goosen. Of course, he, was there under, Eddie Reynoso for a long time until, couple of years ago or so, when he broke away from that. But now here with Joe Goosen, he's been, developing his craft, or he says that he's developed his craft a little bit. Try to do things to be a little bit sharper. But some people feel like there's still some tendencies there from Ryan Garcia that are still, showing that he could be caught slipping. Of course, people bring up the whole thing with him having been knocked down, there by Luke Campbell, where, he got caught clean or caught flush. It was like a flash knockdown of sorts where he pretty much his feet were out of position. And that's the thing that, people are kind of like seeing here against Tank Davis. You can't really be out of position against a fighter that has, 28 wins, and what is that? 26 of those wins by way of knockout, man. I mean, that's one of the highest KO ratios there in the sport of boxing. And you can't really, have that type of issue there, against someone like Tank Davis. So we got to see if he's going to be able to make those adjustments, over the course of the fight. Tank Davis is coming in there very confident, but he's not, quite overlooking Ryan Garcia. No, he was talking about what he said in those press conferences, like, oh, Ryan only has like the left hook. That's it. That's all, and anything like that. But, for those that have been watching the All Access episodes, it had 2 episodes of All Access for Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Like Tank Davis is, watching, all of those little movements that Ryan Garcia does, all of the ways that he's able to approach and, kind of like go after his opponents and see what he can do against all of that. Especially, with him, having the dimensions that he has. He's there, of course, shorter than Ryan Garcia, and has a sort of reach, but he has been able to get to his opponents. There, specifically taller opponents. We've seen what happened against Mario Barrios, some time back. When he was able to eventually break down Mario Barrios and get a late stoppage in that particular bout. So looks like he's trying to do that same thing here, but he's also said that he wants to really go after Ryan Garcia, really wants to punish Ryan Garcia, and that he really doesn't want it to be like something where he says like it's going to be a like say I don't know like a tactical bout or anything like that. He is looking to try to punish Ryan Garcia. Looking to try to punish Ryan Garcia in this bout, and it's going to be something there. Of course, we have it where, of course, this bout is slated at a 136-pound weight limit. Yep, and of course, the whole thing about the being there at day of the fight, it's like 10 pounds. So there's also that, but I think that both of these fighters feel like that they're going to be performing at their optimal abilities here in this particular instance. I think that both of these guys feel like they're at the top of their games. Of course, we know about Tank Davis and his camp and what he's been doing during camp, and that he's been really, really working. There. I think he, was over in, LA and Las Vegas or whatnot, to, get prepared for this particular bout against Ryan Garcia. And, Ryan Garcia on the flip, he's been, working outside of LA, to, get in here against Tank Davis. And, I know it's something where he feels like he'll try to get up for this particular moment, but like I said, it's a whole different skill level there, facing someone like Avante Tank Davis. So, I mean, I'm, kind of like seeing here, okay, is this something where Ryan Garcia is going to, kind of like rise up to the occasion, kind of like try to be able to perform at the highest level in that type of an atmosphere in T-Mobile Arena, sold out T-Mobile Arena, one of the highest gates that they're going to have there at T-Mobile Arena, for this particular bout. So this is going to be really big instance there for Ryan Garcia to try to step up and kind of like get to this particular point, or kind of like rise to the occasion here in this bout. So we're saying that um, and this is something where, like I said, it's going to be a lot on the line in this bout. I know that, yeah, this is at a particular catch weight at 136, whatever it is, but you got two fighters here that could, really shape themselves to be one of the biggest stars in the sport of boxing. I think, with Tank Davis, he's kind of like being there as getting to this particular point to build up to be a very popular fighter there. And outside of like the heavyweight division or whatever it is, this he probably has pulled off some of the best numbers as far as like pay-per-view is concerned. So he's looking to try to make or continue to make big fights here, especially there in the lightweight division. Yes, he does have a version of a WBO title, or WBA title at lightweight, and of course we know about the fight that's coming up in May. That's for undisputed title at lightweight. So he's looking to try to get through this particular bout, and also if he gets to this particular bout against Ryan Garcia, then he's looking to try to go after a number of those other fighters that are there in the lightweight division. Um, Now, thing about it is, right? Um, with Ryan Garcia, I think it's very interesting to hear with Ryan Garcia. Like, this is, like I said, it's a very big fight here, for both fighters, but for Ryan Garcia, if he's able to, get this win here over Tank Davis, that really brings a lot of interest towards Ryan Garcia as being, of course, the first person he would be the first person to defeat Tank Davis. But also, that would be something where he kind of like would garner a lot of interest, within where he's going to be at. I know that he's had his past couple of fights above 135 pounds, but I mean, if he's able to, figure out a way to kind of get into or back into the mix at 135, there's still a lot of fights, a lot of options that are available for him at 135. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. Shout out to Big Blunts of Boxing on the live chat here. What's good with your Big Blunts of Boxing, right? Getting into this thing here with Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, you know what I'm saying? And back to the thing with Ryan Garcia. I mean, I've heard that in this particular bout there is like a rematch clause on Tank Davis's side, if I'm not mistaken. But if so, then I mean that would make the rematch a lot, a very very huge bout. You would have Ryan Garcia that would be able to garner all of that interest, being the guy that would have, defeated Tank Davis, and Tank Davis trying to, get back and, try to get that lick back, so to speak, if he does lose to Ryan Garcia. But, I feel like, Tank is heavily favored, or I say significantly favored in this particular bout, you know what I'm saying? So, I feel like, with this, it's kind of like more of something where people are looking forward to seeing if Ryan Garcia will be able to score a an upset of sorts against Tank Davis. Of course, he's kind of like predicted, like, hey, he's going to be able to take out Tank Davis in the second round and everything like that. But he's kind of like being very confident in that. On the flip, Tank is saying like around 7 or 8 that he's going to be able to take down Ryan Garcia. Shout out to D Ray in the building on the live chat as well, man. Shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? Um, hey, hey, that's pretty interesting. Big Blunts and Boxing on the live chat. Big ups to you, man. He feels like we might see a decision in this bout, something nobody will expect. Hey, like if there was like a decision in this particular bout, that would be crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to see if what the thing is as far as like the odds for that. You know what I'm saying? To have like a decision in this bout because I think that people are kind of like going over what is that thing over under like 8.5 rounds or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like what I'm kind of like looking at here is like you know maybe the thing is going to be something like that if it does go to a decision. Like I wanted to see if I could try to check on if it will go the distance, and it says like what is it, a minus up to a minus 550 on FanDuel if it that it doesn't go the distance or something. So that's like significantly, man. But a plus 360, if it does, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of like see that as something that could be one thing to kind of look out for. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. It says like, yeah, everybody's gonna be focused on the knockouts, but it's a never how people expect. Either it's gonna end super early or nobody gets knocked out. You know, sometimes it's like that. With fights of a high magnitude or something like that. Sometimes you have like a big fight that's coming up, and everybody's like anticipating this bout, and then they kind of like expect a knockout or whatever it is, and it ends up going the full 12 rounds. But here like I really not expecting that in this particular bout. I mean, you got Tank Davis is, had those series of knockouts, outside of the Eastside Cruz bout where, of course he hurt, his left hand. So we pretty much had to go through 12 rounds or pretty much like most of that fight with one hand. Here, I think that he's going to try to, you know, I'd say gauge what Ryan Garcia does and then try to find like any of those openings where he kind of like slips up. And people are kind of like seeing like Ryan Garcia like has something where he keeps his chin high, like has like a bad stance and things like that, so that it leaves openings for him to really get significantly rocked by a shot or a power shot from a Tank Davis. So it's something where I'm kind of like, hey, I'm trying to see like where Ryan Garcia would kind of like have the advantage. Would he have the advantage in speed? Would he be able to take advantage of his height and reach? Would he be able to move around the ring? That's some of the things that I haven't really seen from Ryan Garcia in this past few fights. Is that if you're going to be a fighter that has that length, that has that speed, be able to use a jab. Of course, they say the jab is the most important punch in boxing. Like, will he be able to use the jab? Will he be able to, significantly, try to move around and utilize that jab? You know, I think it's more about him trying to, stay upright, have his stance, and try to just use the jab and stay stationary while using the jab, and trying to see if he kind of tries to catch, Gervonta Davis coming in, so to speak. So whether it's like a hook or whether it's an uppercut, and maybe he's going to try to, catch Tank Davis that way. But outside of that, if he doesn't really have like lateral movement and he doesn't move his head, so to speak, then he'll likely have some issues there against Tank Davis. And that's kind of like where I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards the thing there with Tank Davis. Like I said, he said that he will have this thing out by 7 to 8 rounds. And I kind of like seeing that as well. I mean, you have like he's had those strings of fights where it does go that long. Of course, a lot of the other fights that he's had have been late stoppages. A number of them, have been late stoppages. It's not been something where it's kind of like went, within, 6 rounds. A number of his fights, have gone, either like 10 rounds, 11 rounds or so. You know what I mean? So that's like kind of like something that I, was, looking at here, you know. Um, yeah, thing is, with Ryan Garcia, like he had his fight against Fortuna. Of course, he had that stoppage victory there against Javier Fortuna. That was what within 6 rounds, and then before that, he had the fight against Emmanuel Tego, which with the full 12, you know. So, and even with the fight against Emmanuel Tego, like, what I was looking at in that particular bout was to see if he could try to, utilize his height and reach and try to, cut off the ring against someone that, moves around like Tego does. And we didn't quite see that, even though he was able to score a knockdown in that fight, at least I didn't see where he could, try to, close the distance, or at least try to close the options where Tego could move around. So it was something that like I kind of, was looking at it in that particular instance. There is that, you know, is does Ryan Garcia have the ability to cut off the ring against someone, like a Emmanuel Tego, or someone that has that type of like height or that type of mobility. Like, and Tego is like around there, like 5'8", moving around the ring like that. And then you had the whole thing with Javier Fortuna, who was there like, 5'6". So he's been, faced a couple of guys that have been shorter fighters, to kind of get himself acclimated to fighting someone with the height of Tank Davis, but they definitely don't have the overall abilities that Tank Davis has. They don't have the background as far as like the amateur background and the level of fights that Gervonta Tank Davis has had up to this particular point of his professional career. So this is something where he has to, really, really step his game up to, be able to hang with Tank Davis. And the thing about it is that, for Tank, we've seen in the number of his fights that he's willing to take a few. He's willing to take a few in order to give some of his own. Even if it's not like something where it's a flush punch that's landed on Tank Davis, where he like either shakes it off or rolls with the punch. He'll try to do that in order to get what he wants to get on the inside, because with his positioning, he really gets the most out of every one of his punches. Whether it's like from the jab or the hook or the uppercut, he gets the most out of every one of his punches. So I'm looking towards him trying to do that here against Ryan Garcia. And a number of folks have said that maybe it could end up being a body shot that ends up stopping Ryan Garcia, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of like feeling like it's almost like a highlight reel knockout that's gonna come up, you know. And I say, I'm definitely leaning towards Tank Davis in this fight. It's still gonna be. I feel like it's still gonna have its moments. During the fight, I think you're going to see a little bit of elements there where Ryan Garcia is going to show some of the abilities that he does have, but for me, it's going to be, will Ryan Garcia have something where he catches Tank Davis flush and is able to, stop his progress, or, stop him in his tracks or stun him a little bit? Will he be able to do that? If he's able to do that, then hey, we may be able to see something there from Tank Davis, whether he's able to recover from that, or he has to take a break, or step back a little bit to try to get back to Ryan Garcia. But at least for me, I was kind of like surprised that the thing for Tank Davis, as far as like his him being a favorite, betting favorite, that the odds, at least when it opened, it was a little bit closer than I probably expected. Given what I've seen from Tank Davis over the course of his pro career in comparison to Ryan Garcia and his resume. So, you know, I I'm trying to figure out like, okay, maybe they see something with Ryan Garcia that is like an element that maybe that Tank Davis hasn't seen in his professional career. Maybe it's the speed. Maybe it's a combination of Ryan's height and reach that could maybe pose some problems for Gavante Tank Davis. But as of right now, like I'm not necessarily seeing that coming out of Ryan Garcia in this particular instance. So that's why I'm kind of I'm seriously leaning towards Tank Davis getting the win around that round 7 or 8. Where he kind of like I said he kind of like has like a slow start of sorts. Well, some people say like Tank Davis has like a slow start, but it's something where he kind of figures out his opponent, breaks out his opponent, and then after like round 4 or 5, he really gets to a different level as far as like his punching accuracy and when he's able to land a shot. So that's the thing on that. Yeah, I think that might be another factor there. The weight for Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, but the weight with Ryan Garcia could affect him and what he comes in at. The thing in reference to him trying to hydrate back once he tries to get to 136 pounds. Maybe that'll be a factor there, but there's been some buzz about him maybe saying, you know what, if I can't get to 136, then I can't get to 136. Let me just bite the bullet, pay the fine, have, what is it, a couple $100,000 or whatever it is, pay the fine and just be able to go through this fight and just try to be at, the best weight that I possibly can here in this particular bout. I mean, there's been instances, excuse me, where there's been fighters that have said, you know what, screw it, I ain't gonna come in at that catch weight. I'm gonna pay the fine. I'm gonna just go ahead and just have this fight, at this particular weight where I'm gonna be able to weigh in at this particular point, and I'll just go through with the fight then. So maybe Ryan Garcia could have that particular instance here in this bout. That's the thing. What is this question here from Big Guns from Boxing? Can Tank decline the fight if he doesn't make the weight, even if Ryan is willing to pay a percentage of his purse to Tank? I'm not sure if that's like a deal breaker. I don't know if he said it was a deal breaker, but I think that Tank Davis is probably someone that was more willing to try to go forward with the fight, regardless of what Ryan Garcia weighs in at. So I think that he's kind of gonna go for it and be like, okay, this is where it's at. This is where you're going to be at. You know what I mean? And that maybe they have additional stipulations in reference to this particular bout, as far as like one, if Ryan Garcia, so to speak, does not make weight at 136. And number two, if he, rehydrates and it's above 146, there's probably two different instances there. You know what I mean? So there's that. But either way, man. I mean, you got these two fighters, these two young fighters here within or around the lightweight division. Like I said, those past couple of fights for Ryan Garcia have been above the lightweight division. They've been at the super lightweight division. So you do have something like that coming up where, both of these guys like have this basically on the line, and so to speak. But when it comes to what they could do, what is it? I would say, whether it's at 135 or 140, there's like a lot of options out there after this particular bout. Regardless of who wins or who loses, there's like a lot of options out there. So there are some that may say like, "Hey, this may be it for Ryan Garcia," but I'm saying here, like, even if he does lose this bout, there's still a number of options there for Ryan Garcia. He is a big enough draw to set up a lot of fights within 135 and 140 pounds, even though some people feel like he can't really get down to 135 pounds anymore. So there's that. Salute to all of those in the live chat right now participating. Shout out to Big Bloods and Boxing once again. Shout out to Juice in the building here. Shout out to D-Ray Promotions. So big ups to y'all out there for participating in the live chat here for this live conversation and whatnot, man. Big ups to y'all. And y'all can support the Boxing Source here. Of course, this is live. A podcast is available, on demand through iTunes or Google Podcasts or iHeartRadio or Amazon Music. And for those that want to participate or sponsor the Boxing Source, you can do so. The description, you can do that in the description. How you be able to contribute to the Boxing Source. We really appreciate it here. We try to do the best we can here with this and everything like that. Oh, big shout out to my guy Joseph of War Week Radio Network here with us. Good evening to you. Like I said, just breaking down Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Of course, there's like a number of elements here for this particular bout coming up. A lot of people are doing the thing there as far as like being getting ready for this bout. Oh, what hold up. We got a sponsor. We got a sponsor for the show. Shout out to Big Blessing Boxing, sponsoring the show with a $5. Big ups to you, man. Try to do the best I can here. Of course, with the podcast, with the YouTube channel, with the website, theboxingsource.net. So every little contribution is greatly appreciated. We try to keep the movement going here. As far as like expanding and things like that. So shout out to Big Blunts and Boxing for sponsoring this particular podcast. So can't really come up with a impromptu commercial for Big Blunts and Boxing, but I'd say, hey, support Big Blunts and Boxing. We got a guest here coming in on the show to kind of like look ahead to Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Of course, a great contributor to the Boxing Source. Has been one of the columnists on here, and that is the Boxing Academic. What's happening?
Hey, what's going on, JR? How you doing today, man?
Doing all good, man. Doing all good. Just ready for Tank versus Ryan, this event coming up. Like I said, I broke down as much as I could, so far here with, Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. I'm not sure if you've seen the all access there that they've had. I mean, it's been, man, they had like a whole lot of views for both of those episodes so far. So I think this is a very, highly anticipated bout, even though maybe some that are, on the inside feel like they really expect Tank Davis to get a big win here. But what are your thoughts about Saturday's fight coming up?
Well, I think with both of their histories, you have to favor Tank Davis. I think that Ryan Garcia, if he does some things right and uses, I wouldn't say his, if he uses his skill set, he could make it tough for, for Gervonta Davis. And so what I mean by that is how much taller is he, and or how much longer is his reach than Gervonta Davis?
Well, you got the thing there with Ryan Garcia. At least right now, he has a reach of 70, 70 inches there. Tank Davis is there at 67 and a half,
Oh, that's not too much farther. That's actually Okay, well,
Yeah.
what the hell? Hey, I tried to give my boy something, but
You trying to give him a break. Yeah,
I
you
tried
better.
to give him something.
Yeah.
So let me say this. Let me say this.
Uh-huh.
In between certain shots, obviously he throws his hands fast. So I expect if them two sort of trade shots, Javante Davis, his shot should get there first.
Mm-hmm.
But there can be opportunities where he connects with Javante Davis when they both throw at each other. Um, so maybe one of those opportunities happen and he catches him, and Javante Davis sort of has to recover because he gets hit with a big shot. I mean, I could definitely see that happening, but I don't see that being. I don't think that's going to be the norm per se, but I could definitely see some random shot getting in where they both sort of swinging and he catch Javante Davis. But generally in those exchanges, 80% of the time, 75% of the time,
Mm-hmm.
Javante Davis should get from point A to point B faster than Ryan Garcia. I don't know. I just when you look at matchups, you see what advantages does one fighter have over the other. I mean, I was trying to look at his height and his reach to give him the advantage to say that he can walk Javante Davis into shots while he sort of fought off the back foot in a sense.
Uh-huh.
And from Javante Davis's certain opponents, that's his sort of keep the match running. And Javante Davis don't throw a lot of shots. So what he could do is, throw more shots and then just move, throw shots and move. Do the Matador type approach and just win the boxing match. It ain't what his fans gonna be expecting, but he'll
Right.
be winning rounds.
Mm-hmm. Like on one of those previous bouts that Tank Davis had, especially there with Rolly Romero, like Rolly kind of approached it with something where he tried to you know go after Tank, so to speak. You know what I mean? And maybe he had like some success on that. But the thing about it was that it almost seemed like Tank Davis was setting up a trap, and then he ended up falling for that trap, and then once he got backed up, he ended up getting caught with a left hand and hit the canvas and didn't get up. You know what I mean? We have another great guest coming up on this particular show. Great contributor to boxing media. He is the host of War Week Radio Network here that's on YouTube, and that is Brother Joseph Herron in the building. What's going on, Joseph?
Thank you for the warm welcome, my friend, and you always do a great job. Credit to the boxing community, brother. I will say this, and my biggest concern, and once again, this is just the journalist coming out in me looking for angles in which to write, and you're going to see this article come out quoting Oscar de la Hoya. In my opinion, I think that big goofball just cursed this event by declaring that it's the fight to save boxing. Man, I wish he would just shut up and quit saying that. I understand that he's a promoter and he's trying to sell the event. Brother, correct me if I'm wrong, this is already sold out, and this event doesn't need much selling. Why are you going to do that? Look at the two events that have been declared the events to save boxing, right? His with Floyd Mayweather Jr. Scintillating, wasn't it?
Yep.
And then you look at Pacquiao versus Mayweather. Once again, it left casual and mainstream fight fans such a terrible taste in their mouth that they actually wanted to sue for a refund.
Yep.
So you've got now two counterpunchers who were very respectful of their opponent's respective power. In my opinion, you're going to see a lot of very slow moments in this fight in which you're going to see two guys who are going to be anticipating and waiting for their opponents to move forward and get off first. It's going to be a stalemate in huge portions of this fight. And you're going to hear an awful lot of boos at the MG or at the T-Mobile Arena, especially considering how much ticket prices were. That's what I'm worried about now.
Too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So yeah, they were outrageous. So when you consider that, now in a perfect world, let's assume that both guys don't have that trepidation, but we all know that they do. Both fighters are very deliberate, especially when they're faced with someone who has the kind of firepower that each of them have, right? So, and this is an intangible that's going to be very difficult to measure until we see how Ryan Garcia lines up. But you look at the last fight in which he was with Canelo Alvarez's trainer. What's his name, right? What's his name?
Eddie Reynoso.
Eddie Reynoso, yeah. His footwork was atrocious against Luke Campbell. He was consistently lining up his front foot inside the front foot of Luke Campbell, which is why he got nailed with that overhand right.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, this is now his third extensive training camp with Master Joe Goosen, who, in my opinion, is one of the best in boxing, especially at adding new wrinkles to a veteran fighter who's seemingly set in his ways. He's done it for decades. That's going to be interesting. In my opinion, if he does not have that part of it where he's consistently cutting off the escape routes of Tank Davis so he can't step around him, that's going to be crucial. So he can set up that straight right hand left hook. But if he hasn't, oh, geez, he might get knocked out within 5-6 rounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that Tank has said like it'd be around 7 or 8, but yeah, he could get taken down a little bit earlier than that. Shout out to those that are part of the Rise family. Brother Matthew Bishop is in here. Of course, he's there supporting Devontae Tank Davis. So
love the Rise podcast. Good stuff, man.
Blessings to you, and blessings to Steph here. Of course, he's been a guest on the Boxing Source multiple times, so big ups to you as well. Going back to what you're saying there, Joe, I know that Joe Goosen, of course, like you say, is a Hall of Fame trainer. I think he's going to be inducted in the 2023 International Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And he, has been a very respectable trainer, a highly regarded trainer, of course, throughout the sport. Coach Calvin Ford has, given him his praises over the course of the build up to this particular bout, and says that, he feels like he definitely has work to do here, having someone like Joe Goosen on the opposite side of the ring. But yeah, we have to see if Ryan Garcia has been able to fix those problems that he's had in the ring. While he's been able to build up his undefeated record, you could still see the flaws there. You can see the flaws in his foot position. You can see the flaws in around his foot movement, so to speak. For me, even though he's very fast, he's flat-footed, so he can't necessarily move around the ring, very well. And that particularly is a big issue,
Yeah, look, most fighters who depend on being explosive and combining speed with power, they're solely dependent on being flat-footed, right? Most fighters. And Ryan, especially guys who are still learning on the job. And once again, this is where Golden Boy Promotions really did him a great disservice by getting him, once again, fighters don't learn a damn thing. Yeah. When you get them 1-2 round knockouts throughout their entire 4, 6, and 8 round stages. So now they get to the championship level, and because they didn't learn anything in the 4, 6, and 8 round stages, they're still learning on the job. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Now go to the Javier Fortuna fight. Now, Tank Davis, he's very, very good at doing a step back counter, right? Yeah. Just pulling back a little bit, step back counter, and still be in position when he makes you miss by inches Shakur Stevenson does this extremely well as well. They're still in position to counter you effectively when they make you miss. Ryan Garcia, though, a lot like Vladimir Klitschko, and he showed this in his last fight against Javier Fortuna. He will step all the way out of position so he's not there to counter effectively or take advantage of when he makes an opponent miss. That's going to cost him dearly in this fight.
Yeah, it will. And my thing with Tank Davis is he's one of the better, counter punchers in the game. You know what I mean? So the thing with him is that he'll be able to see, where those openings are for Ryan Garcia, especially up top. But like you said, I mean, with Ryan, kind of like being flat-footed, it makes him like a standing target. So unless if he like moves his head a little bit or has like a good cover defense, he's gonna have a number of options open for Tank Davis to take advantage of, And so that is one thing that I'm concerned about in reference to Ryan Garcia is how is he going to be able to, kind of like come back towards what comes back to him from Tank Davis, because he could have like a like an opening jab, but if it isn't coming back or if he doesn't have like his offhand like still up in the, up close to his face or anything like that, he can still get caught with a counter. And so it's almost like he's throwing just to basically throw and more confident about his offense than about his defense in that sense.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And let's add this in extra intangible as well. You remember the Blues Brothers, great John Landis classic from the early 80s?
Yep.
Okay, well, what were they? They were on a mission from God. Okay, Ryan Garcia truly believes he is on a mission from God. This is his destiny. Tell you what, let's hope that you've actually improved upon the things that we just actually pointed out. Because if you haven't, well, you could have the Pope as your chief second, and it won't do you any damn good.
Hey, yeah, I mean, like take.
But once again, though, this is his third training camp, and once again, Joe Goosen, don't underestimate how proficient he is at really adding those new wrinkles to a veteran fighter who is seemingly set in their ways. He is extremely gifted at that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And guys, make no mistake about this. What makes this such an intriguing and dangerous fight for Tank Davis? Say what you want about Ryan Garcia and all of the flaws that we just pointed out. He is truly gifted, and he is a special fighter in terms of speed, power, one-punch knockout power. I mean, it's so quick. It's like a mousetrap. You just don't see it. And he can deliver that kind of one-punch knockout power within a very short distance. Mm. He is a dangerous guy, and he is a live dog in this fight. Yeah. Make no mistake about it. That's why we're all so excited.
Yeah.
So you can talk about his flaws, but understand he is always in the fight.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about it is too, is that there are like some that like say, oh, this guy is a quote unquote like social media fighter, or like one of those things, like they're trying to put him on the same view as like the Paul brothers. No. This guy has the amateur background. He's been a very skilled fighter. He's had wins over the likes of Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Devin Haney, among others. Brandon Lee, another one.
Yeah, in the amateurs. Yep.
So he's had, he has a deep history there when it comes to boxing. So I mean, it's not like he's not someone that just has KO power and is not, very skilled. He has skills.
Also, you've heard De La Hoya talking about, oh, he needs to use the jab. The jab is the most important punch in boxing. Have you ever seen Ryan Garcia establish his jab in any fight? How's his jab? Does he fight behind an intelligent jab?
No.
Does he even know what an intelligent jab is at this point? Once again, guys, an intelligent jab is when you incorporate feints, touch jabs, hard sticking jabs to the body, chest, and head, and you control range that way. And you set up your entire arsenal of punches. Once again, Emmanuel Stewart, he used to insist that not only is your jab your first line of defense, it sets up your entire arsenal of punches. And you can control range, right? That's the first two things that he taught everyone who entered his gym was a jab and footwork. If you didn't have those two mastered, right, where it was, he wouldn't even bother with the rest.
Right.
Somewhere along the way, Ryan Garcia fell in love with his power and forgot all of those fundamentals. Has Joe Goosen incorporated that before this very crucial fight? Because I tell you what, he's going to need not only the footwork, but the jab to control the movement of Tank Davis. Because Tank, he's going to be looking for those angles in which to exploit those holes. And let's just talk about Ryan Garcia's chin. Boy, he leaves it way too high in the air.
Way high.
Pulling straight back, moving straight forward. Like it may be tea time if he's reckless against a very, very smart fighter like Tank Davis.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like Tom Brown said in the New York press conference. Hey, if he slips up, it's not going to be like the Luke Campbell. If he gets knocked down, he won't get up. You know, so I mean, we definitely got to see if Joe Goosen has fixed that. And also, you know, with you talking about the jab, it opens up everything else as far as like your offensive arsenal is concerned. And if you can mix up the jab as far as like your range and everything like that and be successful, you can set up other things with it. You can set up feints with it, with that jab. You can try to go at it with like as a jab, but it end up like closing it and just turning it and making it a hook. You know, so there's different things that, you know, Ryan Garcia would be able to do with the jab and a consistent and an efficient jab. But he hasn't been able to establish that, you know, over the course of his professional career, at least not up to this particular point. And he will need that against Tank Davis here in order for him to have like any type of success or whatever it is. But if he, you know, was kind of like unsure with that jab, you could see Tank Davis being in Tank Davis that he's been in the past couple fights. He'll have like his high guard up. He'll, you know, try to, you know, work, you know, try to slap off the jab, especially if you're lazy with the jab. He'll try to slap off the jab, and he could just slap off with his right and then come back with the left, you know. And if he does that, he can have like all of that side of Ryan Garcia for him in order to try to get back to him. And that's going to be a real problem for Ryan Garcia coming up on Saturday. So that's
when you look at a heavyweight who's a gifted heavyweight, deep amateur background like Jamal Big Baby Anderson, right? And there's a reason why Top Rank has really taken their time with this gentleman. Yeah. Because they see that he's in love with his power. And so far against overmatched opponents, he's been an offensive juggernaut where he's not even thinking about what's coming back. Okay. This is where Brad Goodman and Top Rank are much smarter in terms of developing talent. Like Ryan Garcia, somewhere along the way, he's just fallen in love with his power and what's going out, not even concerned with what's coming back. And as a result, he's developed all of these bad habits. Now, once again, historically, special fighters who have those special gifts, they can get away with not doing things the right way.
Yeah.
But can he do that against Tank Davis?
No, he will pay dearly. He will pay dearly in that sense. You know, he that's why I say, like, I mean, I'm kind of like really interested to see like what Joe Goosen was able to teach Ryan Garcia in this particular camp, you know, because he's had some time now. He's had some time. It's been, you know, since his fight against Javier Fortuna was last July. So he had like 2 fights last year. And then after the fight against Fortuna in July, he's had, a number of months before, he is able to be in a full camp or this particular camp to focus on Tank Davis. But in that meantime, like, did he work on those, things there where he says, okay, if Joe Goosen sees what Ryan Garcia was doing wrong. He's like, hey, look, you're doing this incorrectly. Like, you got to be able to fix this. Do this with your jab, or try to turn here, or if you're doing this and then trying to follow up, this is what you got to do afterwards. Did they work on that before this actual fight, took place? And on top of that, right? Remember, he was slated to fight in January. He was slated to fight in January, and that fight, it was supposed to be around January 21st or something like that. But he ended up, not doing that, so he ended up having.
Well, look, make no mistake about it. You know the reason why. And obviously he tried to make it seem like it was all Tank Davis and just so demanding within the terms of the agreement. Poppycock. Look, you agreed to that catch weight.
Yep.
Was that stupid? Yeah, but he wanted the fight. Ultimately, he got it. So that's the reason. That's the real reason why he did not fight in January. He wanted to make sure he lost the weight the right way, not in an unhealthy way. So he's not going to balloon up. He's not going to be worried about the next day weigh-in. Mm-hmm. He's going to be fine. But he couldn't do that if he actually had a fight in January. I'm sorry, brother. I'm out here on my patio, and some yokel decided to mow his grass right next to my patio. Isn't that nice of him? My apologies, brother. I'm going to put myself on mute until he finishes.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's picked up. It hasn't really picked up at this particular point. So, I mean, hey, maybe.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
Let's hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
but yeah, that's the only reason. That's the reason why he bypassed that fight, so he could actually continue to lose weight on a measured pace and not kill himself. And so when you lose weight the right way, you don't just gain it all back like Orlando Salido, right?
Right.
Or like MJ Akhmadaliev.
Right. Yeah, that's a great example there. MJ is a great example.
Oh, poor guy. Well, at least he didn't blame Joel Diaz for conducting a fat camp, because ultimately it was his fault. It's not like Joel Diaz opened up his mouth and shoved all that food in it,
right?
In the off season. But look, that's what happens, though, guys. But yeah, he's been doing everything the right way under the careful eye of watchful eye of Joe Goosen. They prepared properly, and you're going to see a very, very svelte but in shape Ryan Garcia, who's not going to be depleted. And that was the purpose of not having the fight in January.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe he had to have that, like you said, that instance where he had to be able to make sure that he cut that weight. I mean, like he had those previous couple of fights that have been north of 136. He weighed in at 140 pounds in this fight against Javier Fortuna in his last bout. So, maybe he had to get it to the point where, okay, now that I got to this instance where, like, say, for example, around November, December, when it was kind of like close to having the deal done, then it was like, okay, at that point here, I got to be able to start focusing on losing that weight or cutting that weight. And so if he did have that bout, in January, then most likely he wouldn't have been able to have that much time to dedicate towards cutting the weight first.
That's it. And that's the only reason why. Now, this is what a big boy Ryan Garcia is. And this is why I thought for sure he wasn't going to agree to the 136-pound catch weight. Now, keep in mind, when they had the 139-pound catch weight with Emmanuel Tago a year ago in San Antonio, the day before the weigh-in, I was standing right next to him, very wide, big dude, right, Ryan Garcia. a biscuit shy of welterweight right now. He will weigh in. He scaled in before the day of the weigh-in. Now, keep in mind, it was a contracted 139-pound catch weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
He scaled in at 144 the night before the weigh-in. That's how big he is. So keep in mind, it's been a long, painstaking process trying to lose the weight the right way. But congratulations, it looks like he's going to do it. But that's what a big duty is. That's what a size advantage. And I'm not talking about height, reach. I'm talking about width. He's a big kid, and he's coming into his man strength. That's what a big accomplishment this is going to be if he does indeed make 36. Now, keep in mind, if he doesn't make it because of the way it's structured, it's not going to be a huge penalty.
Right.
It's only going to be like $100,000 per pound.
Okay. Yep.
That's it. So if he is about 1 or 2 pounds over, hey, that's not that big of a deal.
$200K, you know.
When you consider how much both fighters are going to make, that's not that big of a deal.
It's not a big deal at all. Not at all. So
you know what? Guys, game on. This is going to be really interesting. The weigh-in, fight week. Now, once again, Tank has been to the big dance. He's been a part of these pay-per-views already. Ryan,
right?
This is his first rodeo, brother. Is he going to be able to handle fight week? This isn't San Antonio against Emmanuel Tego. This is Las Vegas, Nevada. And you're on the big stage. Tons of mainstream media are going to be putting their microphones in your face.
Yep.
Is he going to be able to handle it? What is he, 24 years old?
Yeah, 24. I mean, he's had a little bit of a sample of it, you know, in these previous press conferences. But
no. I tell you what, big fight week.
Yeah.
There is nothing like you covered big fight week, brother. Do you remember when ticket sales and it was kind of slow and seemingly kind of flying under the radar? And I'm talking about a decade ago. Floyd Mayweather versus Miguel Cotto.
Oh.
And you know what? And I was like, wow, no one's really talking about this fight. And then you show up on fight week, boom, everyone is there. Everyone is there.
Yeah.
Like, how is he gonna? Is he ready for this?
I wonder if he is. I wonder if he is. I mean, he's been talking apart, you know, over these past months or so. He's been talking apart. But once the grand arrivals start up
Tuesday afternoon, it's game on, brother.
Then we'll see. You know what I'm saying? Then we'll see. I won't necessarily make it to those grand arrivals, but we're gonna see from that point on, and then how he's gonna be able to handle all of that attention from day after day after day. You know, going from that. Well, they say that they're not gonna. Well, Ryan and Tank are not gonna be part of the media workouts on Wednesday. They're gonna show up, so we're gonna see how many people will be out there for that. Then you're gonna have the press conference on Thursday, and then Friday is the weigh-in, pretty much. And
now, keep in mind, brother. Keep in mind.
T-Mobile Arena.
Keep in mind, JR. If you're still killing yourself to make weight.
Ooh.
And he's still trying to make 36 during fight week with all of those media spots. Now, you've been around fighters who have been killing themselves to make weight. They are in misery, brother. Yeah. They are miserable. Like, dude, that's not fun.
It's not.
Like, I remember doing PR work for a fighter who's going to remain nameless, former champion. At at light heavyweight, right? This is a guy whose wife didn't even want to go talk to him because he was so miserable cutting weight. It's not fun. Can he handle all of this pressure?
Yeah, you're gonna see.
We're gonna find out this week, brother, and I can't wait. This is a huge event, and you know what? Shame on all the idiots. Who I shouldn't say that, but shame on all the guys who consistently try to shit on a big event, saying that, oh, this is not a super fight. Oh, look, this isn't even for a title. Look, guys, this is going to be the biggest mainstream fight of the year.
Yep.
All eyes will be on the sport of boxing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big time event. Enjoy it. Enjoy everything that this fight has to offer, because they don't come around all that frequently in America any longer.
Yep.
Outside of Canelo, it just doesn't happen. So enjoy all of this, guys. 2 American fighters in a big time mainstream event.
Yep. I mean, and look at all the attention that it's been getting, over the past few weeks, from a media perspective, from the promotional perspective. I mentioned a thing there with the All Access episodes. Y'all could go on their, social media pages for, when they're pushing the fight and everything like that. It has like a whole lot of attention there. So I'm definitely, going ahead and seeing that once this thing is coming up here on Saturday, all eyes will be on that event. One other guest coming up here, been a great contributor to the show, coming in, the chef, Brother Terrell here. Hey, what's happening?
How you doing, Terrell?
Last week I was a guest, now I'm a contributor. What the hell is going on, JR?
What's that?
Last week I was a guest. This week I'm a contributor. What's the difference?
A contributor is someone that is a highly regarded person when it comes to the movement of the boxing source. How about that? So I elevated. So it's an elevated status.
Hey, I like the avatar with all the tomatillos, man. Flipping delicious, brother.
Hey, I'm glad you know what they are.
Hey, puro Mexicano, Holmes. I love cooking with tomatillos.
Yeah, definitely.
So Terrell, man, what's your thoughts about the Tank Ryan fight coming up, man?
Showtime.
Hey there, Jimmy Lennon Jr. Simmer down.
And now, fight fans, here we go.
Here we go.
Dude, he's one of my heroes. He and his dad. And like before I became ring announcer, I studied all of those guys, all of the greats. Mm-hmm. And I've got all of their cadences down, how they pronounce everything. I studied all of them. So, yeah, I can do Jimmy Lennon Jr. at times when I do these live events.
Live at T-Mobile Arena, it's showtime.
Yeah, and very good. And he's got that kind of mid-range kind of nasal quality to it.
Yeah.
Fight fans, here we go. It's time for the main event of the evening. He has that old school cadence, mm-hmm. where it's that sing-song method of delivering the package, right?
Right.
You sound pretty good from over here. Just no.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man.
Just letting you know. No.
Thank you, my friend. Yeah, it's my Jimmy Lennon Jr. I like when I used to do Emmanuel's events for all of his amateur fighters. I used to always like take turns between fights. I would switch doing Jimmy Lennon Jr., Michael Buffer, Lupe Contreras, and I would interchange all 3 of those guys, right? Do you remember Lupe Contreras? Why doesn't he do more big events? The last big event he did was what? Crawford Avanesian in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, but outside of that, I ain't really seen him do any of those.
Yeah, I think he's semi-retired. It's too bad. He's a great guy, but one thing he does, he goes off pitch, right?
Yeah.
He goes flat, like when he's doing Hecho en Mexico, el gran campeón, introducing Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. That's Lupe Contreras. He kind of goes flat towards the end. Do you notice that?
Yeah. He doesn't have a build-up like
and he has absolutely the worst catchphrase in the history of boxing ring announcers. Now it's time to find out quién es más macho. It's like, dude, you hear crickets after that shit.
Yeah, those are those are definitely some of the more enjoyable small traits of boxing that you catch on to as a true boxing fan. Like, for example, throw back to Richard Steele, the referee. You got to punch the guy there, punch the guy there. Even Mills Lane, I forgot what he said when the fight first started. Let's get it on, something like that, whatever it was.
Yeah. Mills Lane.
You know what? I tell you what, we could have used a little Mills Lane in the Benavidez Caleb Plant fight, because I tell you what, that guy didn't let you hold.
Yeah.
Do you remember that old school badass used to actually slap your hand away if you tried to clinch your opponent? Now come on, touch gloves and let's get it on. Yeah, I loved referee Mills Lane. That was an old school badass. Also, Frank Cappuccino. If there was a referee who was not going to put up with holding and was going to let you fight, dude, he would sometimes just he might as well just pulled up a lawn chair in the corner and just enjoyed the fight from there. And then also, gosh, the late, great Double S, Steve Smoger. That guy was going to let you fight. Yeah. And he wasn't going to put up with any nonsensical holding. Now, once again, clinching, it's okay if you hurt. But look, if you're going to use it as a weapon to try and get the ref to create that distance between you and your opponent because you can't effing fight on the inside, well, that's no good. And unfortunately, Kenny Bayless, he doesn't need to be the referee at any more of these big events. But I'm an old school guy. I love the old school refs, love the old school ring announcers. I'm all for that, man. Yeah, dude, that's what we need. Okay, so here's a question, JR. Do you have any idea who the ref and the judges are going to be for this weekend's main event?
No, I have not seen anything as of yet in reference to that. Like I haven't seen anything from the media thing for that. I don't know if maybe Keith Idec might have an idea. He might have something where he could look that up. But I'm trying to figure out, okay, who is it? Oh yeah. I want to see if they have someone like a Tony Weeks in the ring there for a fight like this.
You know what? Considering that Tony Weeks, his last big time event was the Dave Morrell Jr. Yerbasanova fight, in which he allowed the fight to continue way too long, and it resulted in a coma with Yerbasanova. I doubt it that he gets this assignment.
Yeah, I mean, he could be part of the card. He was on the March 25th card where he was in for the Jesus Ramos Joey Spencer fight in that co-feature. But yeah, I'm not all too sure if they're gonna have him in for this main event. But I'm not all too certain on that. But back to Brother Terrell, man. We kind of like gone through a couple of keys to the fight here with Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. But what are you looking for in this fight?
Well, I think the main thing I've been just getting a sense of, and definitely from boxing Twitter, is that Ryan Garcia is not prepared to be on the stage as far as a headliner, a big high-profile event like this. And whereas in contrast, Tank, as we know, has done multiple pay-per-views, Atlanta, I think California, Vegas, stuff like that, and everything. It's nothing new to him. Nothing new to him. And we know that oftentimes when you're on that biggest stage, like this, a pay-per-view fight, and in this particular fight, when the Garcia side has millions of followers in that regard, hopefully that translates into pay-per-view buys for the fight itself. But it's pressure to perform. It's pressure to back up all the stuff you've been talking. And look how many years for the past 2-3 years have we been seeing Garcia train with people and throwing that left hook on people. Yeah. It's different when you get hit back. It's different when you face that danger coming back at you, right? So you're not gonna be able to throw that all the time. But I mean, it's gonna be it's a very interesting fight, simply from the size perspective, with the height that Garcia has, his speed. We know he has speed, but once again, when you go to the body, that speed goes away. you don't get folded up. And I think we know at this point, Tank is definitely a durable fighter, chin wise and body wise. You know, we've never seen Tank get hurt, things like that. We've never seen Tank go down. We've seen Ryan Garcia go down. And granted, he got back up and took care of business, but the power of Tank is different from the power of Luke Campbell. Totally different. So it's just, I mean, bottom line, I'm glad that we got a big fight coming up. It's going to actually happen.
Well, what makes this fight so intriguing, though, Terrell, is keep in mind, say what you want about Tank Davis, and he is one of the most underrated, deceptively intelligent fighters in boxing. His ring IQ is very, very high. And, his detractors don't want to admit it, but everyone in boxing, including Joe Goosen, understands this. But make no mistake about this. And you look at his resume.
Yeah.
He's never fought a fighter who can crack like Ryan Garcia. But once again, he's a very slow starter. He's very deliberate, and he's very responsible defensively. And in my opinion, like I stated in the outset of my segment, or this segment right here, it's going to result in a lot of very slow moments in this fight.
Yep.
So be prepared for that, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we had that in Tank Davis's last fight against Hector Luis Garcia. Those
Yep. Two counterpunchers. Yep.
Two counterpunches. Yep, like you said, two counterpunches, and at least at that particular instance, that was there at Capital One Arena. Like every fight leading up to that bout in the pay-per-view portion went a full 10 or 12 rounds. So it was like 1:30 or so in the morning and everything like that when the fight was starting. So they were looking for this to be a quick night, and it didn't necessarily it wasn't necessarily that, but at least Tank Davis was able to get the stoppage victory. But here, I mean, are we going to see something where both of these guys are gonna really start off fast and really try to go after it, like the first round between Jamel Charlo and Brian Carlos Castaño last year? Probably not. But at least like you were saying there, Joseph, both of these guys are very respective of their speed and their power. So they're likely going to be cautious going into those opening rounds in the bout. But later on down the fight, you're really gonna see them kind of like make those adjustments and eventually take over there. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I'm kind of like seeing Tank Davis doing that and eventually getting the win there. Is there like anything else you were looking for in this fight, Terrell?
Well, I mean, what if Tank gets hurt? We've never seen that.
Right.
We've never seen that. And if he does get hurt, does he, like in regard, who's the referee? Does he hold on? Does the referee allow that to happen? Things like that. All those things come into factor. But that's we've never seen. How would he react to that? Would he try to punch his way out of it, or just we don't know. That's a question that we never had an answer for him before. So that's the one main thing to see if Ryan Garcia can actually hurt him. And the thing about it, it's going to be one of those. If he does hurt him, it's going to be one of those quick punches that Tank didn't see. You see what I'm saying? Like something like that. Because I mean, who's the better boxer between the two? That's you guys tell me that. Who's the better boxer?
Oh, for me, it's Tank.
Oh, that's a gimme. That's an easy one. But once again, that wild card, and it's such an intangible that's very, very difficult to measure. That speed and that power of Ryan Garcia, and I stated this earlier.
Yep.
It's very, very special, and that's the wild card. It's it's and that's why everyone is so amped for this fight, for this matchup. Now, keep in mind. You ask very smart coaches like James Gogi, like most knowledgeable guys in the industry, they'll insist, Ryan Garcia is getting smashed. He's not ready for this assignment. But we'll see. That's ultimately, like, look at the big heavyweight fight last night.
Oh,
that's why they fight the fights. Now, keep in mind, Zhilei Zhang, going into that fight, he was a just a straight up victory. He was a plus 550, 5.5 to 1 betting underdog. And Joe Joyce was a minus 900. On some books, he was a minus 1100. How's that looking now?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And
you just never know, guys. And once again, it is truly, and this is probably the primary reason why we love the sport so much. It is indeed the theater of the unexpected. Anything can and often does happen in big event night like this. So, guys, buckle up. It's coming. It's already here. We're going to get it on Saturday night. Hallelujah.
One punch.
Yep. That's it. Just ask Roy Jones.
You got any excuses tonight, Roy? No. Hold on. But yeah, going on. But I'm gonna do quick one through here of the undercard bouts that'll be on pay-per-view. First, you got the co-feature bout David Morrell Jr. against Yamaguchi Falcao. That's for the WBA regular super middleweight championship. You got Beck the Bully, Mater Malkuzia versus Gabriel Rosado in a rematch. That's going to be scheduled for 10 rounds. And you have young, undefeated Elijah Garcia back in the ring after, being in the ring like about a month ago against Kevin Salgado. And that is
I'm really looking forward to that one.
Portion of that card. And I wanted to visit this co-feature bout because it has like a little bit of interest, for those in the boxing circles. And now you have David Morrell Jr. There at super middleweight. Of course, he is undefeated. One of those young, fast rising stars there in the super middleweight division. They're going up against Yamaguchi Falcao. But thing is, the story over the past few days is that Yamaguchi Falcao wasn't the scheduled opponent for David Morrell Jr. It was supposed to be Sina Agbeko. And the thing is that Sina Agbeko was eventually removed from the card for Yamaguchi Falcao. Now, we've had a segment. I think this was on a Warwick Radio Network in reference to Brother Joe. So he does know a little bit about this, so to speak. But we've also had word from Mr. Sina Agbeko. This is through LW Boxing on YouTube or OverJ through Twitter. Sina Agbeko did have a number of things to say in reference to this because he was, removed from this card. He was looking forward to being part of this card, and he was, removed from this card. And the way that he explained it was that there was a checkup in that there was something where he was supposed to get a second opinion, so to speak. And from all of that, it got into a whole little mix up, and he eventually got, removed from being part of the card. And so Yamaguchi Falcao is now part of the card. But like I said, it's about a 20-minute or so interview there that is with LW Boxing on YouTube with Sina Agbeko. So for those that have not done so, y'all can check that out. But in reference to this particular bout itself, like I said, you got David Morrell there holding that belt in the super middleweight division. They're going up against Yamaguchi Falcao, and if I'm not mistaken, Falcao is there around currently number 6 in the WBA rankings. He's actually also number 6 in the WBC rankings there too. But yeah, that was kind of like an interesting little situation there. Some people say that that's not much of a improvement, but they do have Falcao rated above Sina Agbeko currently
Look, James, the only thing I listened to that entire interview as well, and I feel bad for him. And he's crying about, because he knew Dave Morrell was going to be in a tough fight. He should think that way. But to think that it's conspiracy theory to line up the easier opposition for Dave Morrell Jr., that is hogwash. Because let me tell you, Ronnie Shields, that's his former trainer. He used to train with Ronnie Shields. Ronnie Shields knows everything about Seneg Beko. So honestly, the only thing I really feel bad for him is that he's not getting this nice little payday. That's a damn shame. But what he is not getting also is a colossal ass whooping at the hands of Dave Morrell Jr. because Ronnie knows everything about him. So what he doesn't know, though, Ronnie Shields, is Falcao. He's a very awkward southpaw who's very crafty. Okay, this is going to be a much more awkward and difficult fight for the first couple of rounds for Dave Morrell Jr. But there's a reason why Osvari is being slated in this co-main event slot. That's how much confidence Al Heyman, Tom Brown, and everyone involved has in this phenom at 168 pounds. Mm-hmm. Physically, there is no other 68-pounder that can do what he can do in the ring physically. He is footwork, hand speed, ring IQ. He's so sharp. Guys, after just 7 fights, why do you think they're accelerating him? Why do you think he's already fighting at the 12-round stage?
Yeah.
Because this kid is special, and you're going to see it in the co-main event on Saturday night. That's the only reason why he has his slot. That's why they're putting him in front of this kind of audience. Because from what I've been told, they have no confidence in Canelo Alvarez that they're ever going to. So they're not going to subscribe to the same ideology that they had 2 years ago, waiting for the quote-unquote Canelo sweepstakes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that caravan is moving forward with or without Canelo Alvarez. Okay? So if they get the Canelo fight, great. If they don't, they're ready. And that's why you're seeing Morrell Jr. on this big stage.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yep.
Let me jump in real quick, just to jump in on that. Canelo, love him, great fighter, great resume. But at this point, but even with the resume, we know we can kind of see where he's kind of pick and choose the Kovalev fight, things like that. He did something that we know he can win. But as finding the real fighters that are in this era, he is carefully avoided. Morrell's gonna be one of those. Benavidez is one of those as well. And it's a shame. It's a shame. It's like, dude, fight the people. Get the boxing fans what they truly want to see. You see what I'm saying? And it's like Ryder, Bevo gonna beat him down again. So we don't want to see the Ryder fight. We don't want to see that. And unfortunately, Canelo's camp will avoid Morrell, Benavidez, people like that. And we'll never see
look, Terrell, with all due respect, brother, and I guess this is for another episode to go into this conversation, but you can't exactly say that he's avoiding the best competition when he's taking on a stud again like Dimitri Bivol. And in my opinion, that fight doesn't happen because and everyone heard that interview. And yeah, I've spoken with Vadim Kornilov, his manager, Dimitri Bivol. They're really not interested in this fight. Unless it takes place one, and this is just one of the factors. Unless it takes place at 168 and he puts all the titles on the line.
He puts all the titles on the line.
And then two, it has to be worth Dimitri's while in terms of purse. Canelo's not going to agree to that. And 3, it has to be in a location venue, i.e. judges at ringside of Dimitri's liking. Canelo is still the goal. He's still the breadwinner. He's not going to agree to all that. In my opinion, guys, this rematch doesn't happen. Thank God. But going back to Canelo, though, you can't say that he's avoiding the best fighters in boxing when he's taking on Dimitri Bivol.
Well, let me interject one more time. So why is Eddie Hearn, who's Canelo's still unofficial promoter, got plans to put him in there against Berlanga? That's ridiculous.
No. He's talking about further down the road. Look.
No. They Berlanga has a fight coming up, and
Yeah, against Jason Quigley. That's not exactly preparing yourself for one of the most complete fighters in boxing, Canelo Alvarez.
No, I mean, at this point, they're just trying to capitalize on the Puerto Rican versus Mexican fight, various things like that, and honestly, in a sense, to cash Berlanga out at this point, because we already know what he is. He's at this point now, he's still a limited fighter. Got a good streak for a while in his prospect days like that, but they want to cash him out. They know Berlanga can only do so much, so why not go and cash him out? That's what they're going to do. But put Berlanga in front of Benavidez, Morrell, people like that.
Well, let's be realistic. What's there to cash out, really? Is he really that big of a ticket seller? No, not really. But look at Steph Brown's comments, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go into that too.
He truly believes that David Benavidez, his next fight's going to be Dave Morrell. Look, I'll have to believe it to see it. Or I'll have to see it to believe it, right?
Ooh.
In my opinion.
What's those fights? Mexican versus Mexican or Mexican versus Puerto Rican?
No. That's irrelevant, right? You're talking about.
No, you know better than that.
No, you're talking. Now, listen, you're talking about two of their most promising young fighters. Okay. Why would you stick them in the ring together later this year when the fight is not worth nearly what it's going to be when they finally lock horns at 175 pounds? Keep in mind, guys, Dave Morrell Jr., he probably realistically only has about 2 or 3 more fights at 68. He's still a young man. He's even younger than David Benavidez. And Benavidez, boy, he to PBC, to Tom Brown, to Al Heyman, to Samson Lukowicz.
Yeah.
He is their most promising young star.
Yep.
There's no way in hell that they would put them in the ring together while this matchup is not worth nearly as much money as it could be, as it will be, if both fighters stay in their winning ways. In my opinion, just from my understanding of the business, I would be shocked if both men lock horns before they jump up to 175.
And going on to that, right? Now the thing with David Morrell Jr., they're putting him at this position in a co-feature to a pay-per-view to kind of like build him up and to get more eyes towards him. So they're kind of like going to guide his career after this particular point to where he gains popularity. They've already set the thing up there on David Benavidez's side by having the pay-per-view against Caleb Plant. Now, there has been talk in reference to Samson Lukowicz, who does promote David Benavidez, that there are fights that are set up for David Benavidez to have. Now, David Morrell Jr. is likely at the end of those series of fights. So you still have bouts that could be, against Demetrius Andrade, that could be against Jamal Charlo, depending on what, Jamal Charlo does. And, there might be a couple of other fighters there, that he could, David Benavidez could face up to that particular point. But they don't want to have someone like a David Morrell Jr. and David Benavidez, two of their, young up-and-coming stars that they could build up, go ahead and fight each other that quickly. Like, that wouldn't necessarily be
that's like saying, guys, that's like saying that, do you really think Top Rank is going to put Xander Zayas in against Jahai Tucker? Do you think that would happen anytime soon? Hell no. There's no way that they would do that. Just like there's no way that PBC is going to stick David Benavidez in against Dave Morrell Jr. later this year at 168. Poppycock. I'd have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, they won't do that. It doesn't make sense. As a father, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Necessarily makes sense there. But yeah, that's the thing that I was touching on for that particular fight. Of course, yeah, that rematch, Beck Bully against Gabe Rosado, which I'm kind of like I don't understand why Golden Boy put this up as a fight that would be part of this card, or unless this pay-per-view card. Elijah Garcia there against Kevin Salgado. I did, have a conversation with Elijah Garcia a few days ago That is available on the YouTube channel, so you could definitely check that out. He's very excited that he gets another fight here just soon after his KO victory over Amilcar Vidal Jr. in Ontario, California last month. So he's like one of those young fighters coming up there. Just 19 years old right now, but at 14-0. Here going up against Kevin Salgado, and I think one person did say like he's looking forward to that particular fight, but
James, you know why Beck the Bully versus Gabe Rosado is in the second bout of the evening, because once again Virgil Ortiz got hurt, right?
Oh yeah,
Virgil got hurt, and so they had a headlining spot with the zone that they needed to be filled with a young upcoming star, someone deserving of that headlining stature, and that was William Zepeda.
Right.
They originally had him in the second bout of the evening. Yes. This was supposed to be a showcase, the entire undercard of future stars of the sport, fighters to look out for in the future. Right. That's what this entire undercard was supposed to be. Instead, though, they had to maneuver William Zepeda to later on this month, April 29th, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Mm-hmm. He's going to be headlining that Virgil Ortiz spot. Right.
We're taking over that spot.
Yep. And so that's why we're seeing a rematch that no one really cares about, like Gabe Rosado, Beck the Bully. Not very much intrigue there. Now, I understand that Gabe Rosado knocked his ass out, but man, he was on the verge of getting knocked out himself before he landed that counter right hand.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that like and I kind of like feel like the thing with the Gabe, right, is that maybe Golden Boy is still trying to get him something, because he was supposed to face Zurdo, remember, a few weeks back, but then Zurdo, chose to be about 5 to 10 pounds overweight or something.
And that's it as well. That's a huge point as well. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, Gabe Rosado really missed out on a big payday. So yeah, this is Golden Boy's opportunity to make that back up to him. But
yeah,
you know what? Thank God that fight was scrapped. Thank God that fight was scrapped. That, like, who on earth wanted to see Zurdo Ramirez versus old man Gabe Rosado?
Like,
who wanted to see that?
That was a main event to be. Yeah, I was like, where did that come from? Like, come on, y'all. Like, what are we doing? So
now this is what happens when you see Roberto Diaz leave Golden Boy Promotions. You start getting crap like that.
Yeah, matchmaking, man. I mean, you have someone like Roberto Diaz, who's a Hall of Fame level matchmaker, and he's out of the paint. Now you get that type of stuff, man. And
yeah, look, guys, matchmaking is the heart and soul of this industry. It determines everything. Now, I always tell young fighters this: if don't worry about signing bonuses, like who's going to offer you the biggest signing bonus. Don't worry about that stuff. What two things that you look for when you're signing with a promoter, or trying to figure out, and once again, I hope Regis Prograis listen to this. One, you look at their matchmakers. Who do they have? And do they have a history of nurturing big attractions? Two, do they have plenty of TV dates? That's all you should be concerned with. If you're a young fighter, who cares if BLK Prime is going to give you a huge signing bonus? Like, if you're sitting on the shelf, that doesn't do your career any good. And that's it.
Yeah. So, yeah, in reference to the thing there with Regis, I hope he makes a good decision there in the near future, but we'll see about that. Now we had like a few other fights that'll be part of the total card there in T-Mobile Arena. The first bout will be on at 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's when they start the fights actually there in T-Mobile Arena. So they'll have about 5-6 other fights on there.
Yep.
Two of those fights will be on the Showtime YouTube channel. They'll have Fyodor Sarkazin, I think that's what it's pronounced as, undefeated against Elias Espadas, and then Vito Mielnicki Jr. will be in action there against Jose Sanchez.
Yep.
So that'll be part of the the YouTube card. Will have a number of fighters that are from the DC, Baltimore area.
Look, man, Vito Mielnicki Jr. versus Jose Sanchez Charles. Oh man, I know Jose and I know his trainer Chato Martinez, two great guys. But yeah, this is going to be all Vito Mielnicki because Jose couldn't. Well, I shouldn't say anything, but because I love both guys, and I called one of his fights last year, right? Love both guys, but look, let's just be honest. Jose Charles, he couldn't crack an egg, man, with both fists, either fist. He couldn't punch himself out of a paper bag. That's why this matchup was made. He's got big time experience, but he's got pillow fists.
Yeah.
And look, I tell you what I'm interested in. I'm interested in watching the return of Coach Ronnie's former fighter, Tristan Kalkruth, the long kid. And once again, he's going to be competing. Am I reading this correctly? At light heavyweight, he's a cruiser. He's the long 6'4" kid, tall, rangy, and he does.
I've seen him.
He does the backflip in the ring, right?
Yeah.
This kid has some talent, and he's got dynamite in both fists. Looking forward to seeing his return.
He was at heavyweight over at the Alamo Dome last April, man.
Are you talking about the fight in which he threw out his shoulder?
I think so.
Oh, boy. Yeah, credit to him for finishing the fight, or trying to anyway. Yeah, that's terrible. He dislocated his shoulder mid-fight.
Well, they had the fight where he was in El Paso. I think that was the one where he had to deal with a bad shoulder because that was.
Oh yeah, and he did come back as a heavyweight, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
So I don't know why they have that fight listed as a light heavyweight attraction, 6th round. Yeah, I can't see him fighting less than heavyweight from this point forward.
Yeah. But shout out to Ness there for being on here and subscribing there. So salute to you for the support. But yeah, kind of like went through most of the card. Looking forward to seeing Jalil Hackett also part of this as well.
Indeed,
Simpson from the Upton camp will be part of this card as well. I think they did say that Mia Ellis is off because they couldn't find an opponent for her. So that's a bad tough break for her in this particular instance. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday night, man. That whole week is going to be really big there. So, one time for all that. Now, want to get into what happened yesterday. And
oh boy.
Man. Woo.
I will say this. Against the advice of my brother, Coach Gogi. Yeah, I made a judgment call, and I've been feeling this way all week. I put some long green on the Big Bang Zhilei Zhang.
Woo.
And guess what? Yeah, I made $5,000 last night, brother.
Woo.
How do you like that? Woo-hoo!
Hey, and this is like one of those, they say like the Monday morning quarterback type of things here in reference to this. But I'll say this. The thing with Joe Joyce, and we kind of like seeing this regardless of hit the opponents that he's had or whatever it is. We kind of like seeing with Joe Joyce that he is a fighter that would rather try to outlast you and then just take you to deep waters and outlast you. Like, he's not going to be somebody that's going to be, of course, like any type of like a defensive genius, but he's not anyone that's going to try to work on any type of defensive ability. So he was more of like somebody that blocks punches with his face and just keeps going forward. And then if you can't take what he's throwing at you, then he'll eventually wear you down. Now,
I will say this, James. It sure did look like it was headed that way.
Right.
After round 5.
Right.
Because you saw Zhilei Zhang. You saw his output getting more stingy as after round 3, then 4, then 5, and he was not throwing any punches, just the occasional flurry, but it would land right on the button. And he started targeting. He started targeting that eye. But 2 things that prompted me to put down that wager on Zhilei Zhang. 2 things, right? One, the obvious is that, boy, I tell you what, for those first 3 or 4 rounds, Zhilei Zhang, boy, he's a beast, especially when you never take your head off the line like Joe Joyce and you can't see that straight left hand coming down the chute. His hand speed. And then 2, the entire week leading up to the event, I heard nothing but Joe Joyce talking about Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk. He wasn't even concerned with Zhilei Zhang. And then 3, most importantly, this guy's going to be 40 in about a week and a half. So for all intents and purposes, now, once again, we've all seen and we've all heard the remarks from other fighters in the heavyweight division after this performance say, you know what? Why would you want to fight that guy if you don't have to? He's become too much risk for the reward in the minds of most promoters and managers. So for all intents and purposes, I saw this and I'm like, look, this is his last chance saloon.
Yeah.
If he's going to do anything in his career, it's going to be tonight.
Hell.
And that's ultimately why I made the decision to fire the trigger on that wager. Thank God I did.
You know, the thing is too, man, I think Zhilei was, you know, more confident than people kind of thought, you know.
Of course.
And you know, there was like the what was it, a few weeks ago, whatever it was, you know, the initial face off or whatever it is. And they had the video clip of like Joe Joyce in an interview in like a gym or something. And then you heard all of a sudden, "Hey Joe!" And that was Zhilei Zhang coming in there. And the thing about it is like even though Joe Joyce has like that moniker of being a juggernaut and stuff like that, like I said, he is more of a guy that wears down his opponents. He's not like somebody or a fighter that like says, you could have like, do we have any moment of Joe Joyce having a one shot, boom, and then knocking his fighter out?
Not at all. But I will say this though, brother.
You know,
with that mentality of steady drop fills the bucket.
Right.
If he doesn't have his eye closed, and might I say, if Howard Foster isn't the referee,
right,
then you know what? There's no doubt in my mind that Joe Joyce eventually stopped Zhilei Zhang late in that fight.
But you know the crazy thing though about the thing with Howard Foster, right? Before the fight, you had Zhilei Zhang complaining about Howard Foster being the referee because he's notorious for being the guy that's
pulling the trigger.
Pulling the trigger. So, I mean, that was like one thing there in reference to this particular bout. But
well, you know what they say. You know what they say, James, and this may have, and that's a good point. It may have played in Zhilei Zhang's favor.
Yep.
You know what they say? Baby, don't cry. Baby, don't get fed.
Yeah. Yeah. But man, it was just something, man. And you know, looking at that fight in those first couple of rounds, and you just saw like, hey, the thing about it was that, like you said, Zhilei Zhang has those quick hands. And then when he just had the quick right jab and then followed with the left hand, and it was like, and it was not just he just hit him with the left hand, he kind of stunned and stopped the momentum of Joe Joyce. And I think, you know, folks that were watching live at that moment were like, whoa,
yeah.
And so you had a couple of those moments in those first couple of rounds. And by the end of round 2, you already saw Joe Joyce's eyes started closing up.
That's another thing. On this level, he's the damn WBO interim champ, damn it. Why on earth doesn't he have a more experienced cut man in his corner?
Right.
That end swell should have been right on that eye as soon as it started to have that mouse underneath it after round 1. Where was it? You never saw it. He was like, where was it, dude? I guarantee you, if you had put that end swell on it immediately, it wouldn't have ballooned up so quickly. That's just inexperience, and it's shocking considering what level it's on, and as well as his chief second is Ismael Salas.
Yep.
Come on now. You have to have a much more effective corner. Now, keep in mind, guys, Jesse James Leija, right? He attributes his biggest victory over Hall of Fame badass Azuma Nelson, right, in the Alamo Dome. He attributes that victory entirely to legendary late cut man Joe Souza. Without Joe Souza closing up all those cuts and keeping that end swell and keeping that, keeping all of that ointment on his face and working that face after every round.
Getting the pressure, moving the pressure around.
Yep. And that what do you call it? What's the agent that they use to tighten up the blood vessels? I don't remember, but you know what? If you don't have that, Jesse James Leija does not finish that fight. That's the difference in being a champion and being a runner-up, being a bridesmaid. Guys, every member of that team is crucial in inking out the big fights.
Right.
Eking out the big fights. That's the difference between winning and losing at the world-class level. And damn it, Joe Joyce should have known that. Ismael Salas should have known that.
Yes. I would have thought Ismael Salas should have known that. Like, he's a guy that's been, regarded as a, trainer of the year in some aspects in previous years. Has had a number of notable fighters in his camp or whatever.
Because look, Ismael Salas is a very proficient cut man as well. He does it all. He can do it all. Just like Emmanuel Stewart, just like Ronnie Shields, just like Joe Goosen. All of these guys, they understand the trade. So how did this happen?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, I tell you what, congratulations, Zhilei Zhang.
Damn.
And let me ask you something, James.
Okay.
Who does he fight after this? Or, better question, who has the stones to step in the ring with him? Now keep in mind what he reminds me of. Do you remember a couple decades ago? Fantastic southpaw, lightning quick, heavy hands from South Africa, the sniper Corey Sanders.
Ooh.
Zhilei Zhang reminds me of a Chinese Corey Sanders where for 3 or 4 rounds, arguably the most dangerous heavyweight in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I'm thinking, man, there's a lot of options for him. Okay.
For my money, James, now let me get your thoughts on this. For my money, I hear Deontay Wilder's looking for a big fight. How about this in China?
Yes.
Bronze Bomber versus the Big Bang Zhilei Zhang. How do you like that, brother, for millions of dollars and millions of viewers in China? Now, keep in mind, most people don't realize this, but that fight was on pay-per-view in China at 5 a.m. They registered well over 1 million viewers in China.
Yeah. I'm saying it, and the thing is, my immediate reaction after him getting this win was saying that, hey, he needs to have a fight in China. This is the opportunity. I know that he's kind of like based in, New Jersey, actually.
New Jersey, that's where he trains.
What's the thing there with the Lane brothers? The Lane brothers.
Yep, the Lane brothers. That's right.
The guys that promote or have Zhilei Zhang. They have like another number of fighters that around that area. They have like I think it's Meng Feng Long among others, right? But here is an opportunity for them to cash on a big event for Zhilei Zhang. Now, for those that may have followed a couple of fights there with Zhilei Zhang, there was something a couple of years ago where he was in a bout with Jerry Force. This was before the Jerry Force fight, right? Some folks were thinking about having him in a big fight against Anthony Joshua at that time. So the idea of having Zhilei Zhang in a big fight this is not anything that's been recent,
Hold on, James. I've got to step away for 1 minute. Keep going, right, sir. You're doing well.
So, all right. So people were talking about the fight between Zhilei Zhang and Anthony Joshua, thinking about the numbers that could have potentially had at that time. Hey, you could have something like that here with Deontay Wilder. And up to this particular point, you haven't really seen any updates in reference to Deontay Wilder and him having another fight. Yeah, people were talking about initially him facing Andy Ruiz Jr. That's kind of like been scrapped out. Okay. The other thing was we've kind of seen Deontay Wilder in attendance over at Dubai, when they had the whole Paul versus Fury fight, and that he could have potentially had a fight with, maybe against Alexander Usyk, but that whole thing has been shot down because that was, being talked about over the previous few weeks after the Alexander Usyk Tyson Fury fight got, pretty much put in shambles, right? So now you could potentially have something where, hey, let's see if we can have Big Bang Zhang against Deontay Wilder there, where they say, hey, you got somebody that stopped the juggernaut, has 25 wins, 20 of those by way of knockout against, the former WBC heavyweight champion, the bronze bomber with one of the highest knockout ratios in the heavyweight division. That would set the stage for a huge fight. Now, I don't know how it will work in reference to the whole little political stuff or whatever it is. That's a whole other story. But I'm like, come on. You have a chance to make some real good money here in this particular instance if you had Zhilei Zhang in there against Deontay Wilder. And hey, check this out. Before this fight, Zhilei Zhang was rated number 13 in the WBO, and Deontay Wilder was ranked number 6 in the WBO. So I'm like, hey, why not just go ahead and have this particular fight? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, hey, both of these guys are up there. Like you said, Zhilei Zhang is a couple of weeks away from, being at 40
week and a half.
Old.
Week and a half.
Yeah, and Deontay Wilder's there at 30-70. He doesn't turn 30.
Brother, and once again, Deontay Wilder's biggest dilemma at this time is he's grown accustomed to making these huge inflated purses, right?
Yep.
And that's why he's ducked out of the Andy Ruiz fight, wasn't happy with the money. Now you have the opportunity for this huge marquee assignment, the opportunity to compete for a WBO interim championship. Okay, the next in line to fight Alexander Usyk. The opportunity to be on the big stage again in a huge fight in front of millions of people.
Millions.
Can I maybe argue 1 billion people in China, possibly reaching 1 billion eyeballs, right?
Yep.
This is it, man. Sign on the dotted line. Make this happen. I would love to see Deontay Wilder as the U.S.'s ambassador in China for this huge event, the Bronze Bomber versus, dare I say, the Sniper, Zhilei Zhang. This is a great fight. I don't see it going past 3 rounds, but hell, who gives a shit? Let the bombs fly, man. Just let them go, man. I would love to see it. And you know what? Congratulations to Zhilei Zhang for pulling off the upset. And thank you for making me $5 grand richer.
I mean, yeah. And the thing with Zhilei Zhang too, man. This is something that was great for him. Given that in his previous fight against Philip Hergovich, he got the short end of that decision there. Two of the judges felt like Philip Hergovich won 8 of those rounds. And this is after Zhilei Zhang scored 1 knockdown, and I'm saying he should have scored another one. There should have been another one scored for him, but they didn't score it for him, and I thought that was going to be huge in that particular fight, and ended up doing that there. So for him to get back into this and to get this opportunity was really something there. And it is crazy because it's like you have heavyweights that don't have those opportunities. They only fight 1 or 2 times a year. So for him to have this opportunity, like you said, this is almost like a last chance saloon for him, where he has like a fight of this magnitude.
Look, without that title, he is viewed by everyone as way too much risk for the reward. Now let's look at Joe Joyce now. And guys, shame on all of you who are just pissing on Joe Joyce at this time. Guys, think about this. If Howard Foster does not pull the trigger, now keep in mind, correct me if I'm wrong, brother, but just like Joe Joyce's mom said post-fight, I don't remember anyone stepping in and stopping the Daniel Dubois fight when his eye ballooned up like that. He quit.
Right.
I don't remember any ringside physician or referee in charge pulling the trigger and halting that bout.
Right.
Do you?
Right. It took Daniel Dubois to go on one knee multiple times for that particular fight.
He quit. He quit.
But on top of that too, right? Now going to that little moment, that was Howard Foster's decision to waive the belt.
Exactly. Now think about this. When the ringside, now listen, the ringside physician,
right?
Once again, he said, "How many fingers am I holding up?" What did Joe Joyce say? 1. He gave the correct answer. Why did Howard Foster stop the fight?
Yep. And
no. Keep in mind, anyone who's shitting all over Joe Joyce right now, is there any doubt in your mind that he would have eventually stopped Zhilei Zhang in the late rounds of that fight? Yeah. Is there any doubt in any? Because look, he up in the corner before each and every round. He was relentless. He was consistently laying hands on Zhilei Zhang. Was he showing any sign of wilting in that fight?
Nope. He wasn't.
So anyone who is stinking all over Joe Joyce right now, shame on you. Guys, he's still the juggernaut. His chin is still intact, and he's still one of the most dangerous heavyweights in the world. Guys, expect him to be back and be back motivated. But I will say this. Who the hell's going to be willing to step in the ring with a juggernaut after this? Even with a TKO loss.
It's a bad matchup, and I can't really see many potential opponents out there. At least initially, not now. I'd have to check what's going on out there. Maybe he has an opportunity to get back into it in the heavyweight rankings, whether it's IBF or WBO. There is a certain fighter that's highly rated out there that is a particular fighter under.
Look. I'll say this.
So
I'll say this. He's the same guy, guys, who just whooped the living shit out of former WBO title holder. What was his last fight? Joseph Parker. He's the same guy who steamrolled him over 10, 11 rounds?
11 rounds.
Yep. He's the same guy, guys. Okay. Once again, you look at him among everyone in the top 10. How would he fare against Dillian White?
Right.
How would he fare against Andy Ruiz? How would he fare against Frank Sanchez?
That would be interesting.
How would he
There's
fare?
only one reason
Yep.
why. There's only
Yep.
one reason why I say that's an interesting fight, and it's because of what just happened.
Yep, that's it. But once again, Daniel Dubois, he's still the juggernaut, guys. He still is going to be that steady drop that fills the bucket. Can you keep Joe Joyce off of you? How does he fare against Filip Ergovic? Now, keep in mind, Ergovic, I don't see everyone so down on him anymore, seeing what happened yesterday. Yep. Boy, his stock rose dramatically, being the IBF interim title holder at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, guys, Joe Joyce, still a player in the heavyweight top 10, top 15. And you can't deny that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like you said, anything can happen in the heavyweight division. So that's pretty much what we saw yesterday. It's something that, people just didn't really expect that. But that doesn't like completely write off Joe Joyce there in the heavyweight division. He's still a factor there in the heavyweight division.
And once again, guys, credit to Joe Joyce for taking this fight. Yeah. Okay? Credit to him for even taking this fight. He didn't have to. He was the next in line, well, after Filip Ergovic and Daniel Dubois, to face Alexander Usyk. Credit to him for taking this fight. He didn't have to. A very dangerous assignment. And you guys all want to see the best fight the best. So do yourself a favor. You can't have it both ways. You either want to see the best face the best or you don't. So if a guy loses at this level, it's just an L.
Right.
Quit pissing on him. Okay? If you guys want to continuously see the best fight the best, it's just a loss. Just an L. Not a big deal. Someone has to lose. It happens.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what they have planned out here for Joe here. After this loss, he will take some significant time off to recover from that injury to his eye. But outside of that, he'll be right back in it and right back at it. And so, I'm kind of concerned about what his next move will be. I mean, there's still a number of fighters out there that that would be a good option for him. But on the flip side, with Zhilei Zhang, it opens up a lot of opportunities for him. So we'll have to see how that goes. Kind of like reminds me, I might have to see if I can find where I can get some contact information for the Mills brothers. After this big win out there for their camp. So
the Lane brothers. Yep. Hey, let me ask you this though. We're getting a little late, right?
Yeah.
And I do have to prepare for a Gogi show, but James, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what your final prediction was for this super fight. Yes, I said it. Super fight coming up on Saturday night between Gervonta Tank Davis and King Ryan Garcia. What is your final prediction, brother?
Well, I mean, I'm seeing this as like one of the. It's gonna, I'd say it's more of like what Tank Davis's fights have been. It's not really been like something where he has had like an early night. It's been some years before, like it's been some years since he's had like a fight that ends within 2 rounds or 3 rounds or 4 rounds. It kind of like goes through a little bit of a process before he figures out his opponent and then eventually breaks him down, takes him into deep waters and drowns him, so to speak, or whatever it is. And I feel like that's the same way here. I'm agreeing with Tank Davis and saying that he ends this bout with a victory within round 7 or 8. I feel like it is kind of like come from a body shot. I feel like it's going to come from a body shot. I think that with Joe Goosen, I think he's worked on a little bit with what Ryan Garcia has done as far as like keeping his, chin too open. That he's gonna work on having his chin tucked up a little bit. That he's gonna work on his, defense while throwing shots so that he keeps his hands up while he's throwing punches. But on the flip side, I think that's still going to open up things for Ryan Garcia's body. Like I said earlier, he's flat footed, so he's going to still be right there in front of you. And I think that, Tank Davis is going to work on his offense a little bit, mixing up the jab, where we kind of like said that Ryan Garcia should do that with his jab. But on the flip side, we're going to see Tank Davis do that, not just going upstairs, but going downstairs with the jab. And once that's going to work the body of Ryan Garcia a little bit, and then it's going to end up being a left hook to the body that's going to send him down to the canvas.
Boy, it sounds like you really played this fight out in your brain, brother.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Very impressive. I tell you what, though, brother. Do I want to be a downer in proclaiming my prediction? No, I don't think so. Let's end this on a high note, my friend. Or are you interested in mine?
I think we've had like a little bit of an idea of what.
Now, you know, brother, and I spilled the beans in my first statement on this show.
Yep,
that Oscar De La Hoya has indeed cursed this event, and I can see it playing out. And I think I gave my prediction several weeks ago on your show. Yeah, I see it being an anticlimactic, inconclusive draw in which Tank Davis gives away way too many early rounds by being very deliberate and extremely responsible defensively, and doesn't pick it up until it's too late. And it doesn't end in a knockout. Both fighters are looking for that. They're going to be very cautious. You're going to see a lot of slow moments, and it's going to result in an anticlimactic, inconclusive majority draw.
Ooh.
That's my prediction.
Ooh. People aren't going to like that. They are
no. And once again, this is not. And you know what? Someone like Oscar needs to quit saying that line of rubbish. This is the fight to save boxing. Shut your ass. I'm sick of hearing that. Look, boxing is doing just fine this year. We've had several big events, and we're going to have several more this year, right?
Yep.
Quit saying that boxing, announcing it to mainstream media that boxing needs saving. Shut your ass, okay? Quit raising the bar and creating that anticipation and just giving that platform for people to get let down. Just like in his fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr., Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, just stop it. Okay? Just stop it. This is a very good fight. It doesn't need much selling. But with that said, I do think there are going to be a lot of slow moments in this fight. And I think people are going to walk away feeling a little empty-handed. That's my opinion. That's my prediction. Hopefully, I'm very, very wrong.
Yeah. I hope so, too, because like I said, I'll be there live. And I want to, definitely have those moments where I get like a good freeze frame of the atmosphere there. We'll be working on the photography aspect of what's going on during the fight card. So for those that want to, check out that action, it will be on the boxingsource.net website. We have articles there, fighting and photos. So we will, definitely have a few photos there that'll, take, freeze frames of the action that will take place on Saturday. And yes, I still will be part of the media coverage the week of the bout. So while I won't be able to quite make the undercard media workout on Wednesday. I will be there for the press conference. I will be there for the weigh-in. I will be there for the post-fight press conference.
Enjoy it, brother. Enjoy it, man.
That's
It's
the
going to
thing.
be a rat race this week, brother.
Yeah, it will
So
be.
enjoy the experience. Soak it all in, brother. You are going to be an integral part of the boxing community during big fight week.
Big fight
And
week.
so enjoy it, brother. Congratulations for getting these assignments. You deserve it. You're a very hardworking dude, and you're one of the few true, honest journalists who merely report. And I take my hat off to you, brother. God bless you, man. And once again, enjoy it all, brother. And guys, be the ambassadors of the sport. Okay? Be the ambassadors. Tell all of your friends about it. Okay? Host a fight party. Invite all your mainstream and casual buddies and be the ambassador and show off exactly how much you know. Be the commentator. Like, show them, educate these guys, show them exactly what to look for. Yeah. You guys are all very intelligent. You guys all know the sport better than the commentators who are going to be calling this fight, right? Be the ambassadors, host the fight party, and promote your beloved boxing. We need you.
Yep. And
I'll leave it like that, my friend.
Yeah, thank you very much there, Joseph Heron, for being a great contributor to this podcast. And also thanks to our other contributors that were on earlier, Brother Terrell and the Boxing Academic. They will be, also having their takes on the fight afterwards. We'll see how I'll be able to handle that the day after on next Sunday. It'll be 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 4:38 p.m. Pacific time. That is the plan. Or maybe I could just do a live there because I will be around the MGM Grand during that weekend. So that's going to be very eventful there at that particular juncture. But for those that weren't able to catch this show live, like one particular person that did say that he was late, it is available on iTunes, Google Podcast, Spotify, also Amazon Music, and yes, it still will be available on the YouTube channel. But big thanks for everybody that took part in this live podcast. I thank all of you here. And like I say at the end of every show, folks, the point of boxing is to hit, not to hit, not to send a trade. On that note, folks, I'm out. Have a good evening. See y'all next week.